Okay, so the bank closures continue, but this time I'm talking about international banks, not just the banks that are here in the United States. What does this mean to the economy? What does this mean to you as a stacker for silver and gold? Let's get into it. How you doing, everybody? Welcome to Empire Precious Metals. Thank you so much for watching. I want to do this video talking about this recent article. Now, listen, before you guys start screaming CNN, you could go on so many different sources. Okay, we're talking about this particular bank closure that happened recently. Actually, not necessarily recently. This has been an ongoing issue over in China. And this most recent article and news story came out over the weekend. I was actually doing some work around the house and I heard the news in the background playing, talking about the fact that there's over 400,000 people that do not have access to their money. And this got me to thinking a little bit more about silver and gold here in the United States, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But I want to talk about this article first. So we do know that there were some major bank closures here in the United States. Luckily for a lot of people that were affected and businesses that were affected by that, they were able to essentially recover some of their money. We all know that the FDIC insures deposit accounts up to $250,000. We also know that some other banks stepped in to prop up one of the banks, I believe. I forget the exact way that everything unfolded, but essentially a combination between the US government and some of the major banks, they kind of swooped in to kind of stave off any further damage and or cancer that can spread. Although not too long after those events, we did see that JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon released a statement saying that the banking crisis is going to continue and be felt for years. So we're still not out of the woods yet. We're going to see what happens. But turning back over here to this story here in China, what's scary about this is the fact that these individuals, these people, are without their money. It kind of reminds me of what happened in Greece. What was that, like 10 years ago, where people didn't have any access to their money? This is why a lot of people within the stacking niche say that you should not keep too much of your money in the bank. That's why a lot of people keep their cash in safe locations, whether it be in their home or some other location off-site. There's silver and gold as well. And that's kind of part of the reason that a lot of us in the stacking niche like silver and gold as much as we do, because it is a form of insurance in case, God forbid, something like this happens. So, all right, here we go. America's Silicon Valley Bank customers got their money back in 3 days, but China's Henan Village Bank's customers haven't been given a cent in a year. China's latest banking scandal started last April when 5 rural banks, 4 in Henan and 1 in the eastern province of Anhui, I'm probably mispronouncing all this, froze depositor funds. Sanlian Lifeweek, a state-owned magazine, estimated that 400,000 customers were affected. One of them, who asked to be identified only by the surname Du, says he put his entire family savings worth about 5 million yuan or $726,000 into one of the banks. Holy crap, can you imagine? Can you imagine having your life savings in a bank and it just closes down completely? This is the type of stuff that reminds me of the early 1800s in the United States, mid 1800s, when you had all of these different banks that would pop up these community banks. This is why part of the reason why Andrew Jackson didn't trust the banks, because he had a lot of money in a bank that closed down. He was without his money, and that's why he had his whole war on the bank. And that's a whole other conversation that led to that financial crisis in the 1830s, Jackson's war on the bank. But that's a lot of money to not have any access to. CNN's not revealing the identities of the bank victims in order to protect their safety. They say all they want is their money back, but their requests have been ignored. Last summer, hundreds of depositors took to the streets in a series of demonstrations to demand answers. Du said he and other protesters were badly beaten before they were eventually allowed to leave. I'm going to skip this Let's see. While major depositors received their money back over the last year, several thousand still haven't received. Blah, 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 blah. Too small to save. Depositors tell CNN most of the uncompensated victims live outside of the Henan province. Experts say the authorities may have been more willing to pay back depositors who live locally because they can more easily gather and organize protests. Essentially, if you're like some of those rural type individuals, the people that live off out of the big cities, it's going to be harder for you to get your money back. So just, I mean, you could check this out. I mean, you could Google search this all over the place. Here's the thing with this type of scenario. Now, again, we're comparing two very different countries. Again, we have the FDIC in place, which insures all depositor accounts to $250,000. Now, again, even though there is that insurance by the FDIC, $250,000 on your bank account, do I think you should have that type of money in a bank? I mean, that's entirely up to you. $250,000 is a lot of money. I would definitely spread that out over several accounts. But when it comes to, how much money you should keep in the bank, a lot of people within the stacking niche, they typically say, things like, you should only have maybe like 1 month's living expenses in the bank and the rest you should keep out of the bank. I'm not quite to that level of paranoia. I have more in the bank than 1 month's living wages or whatever you want to call it, money that I need to pay the bills for a month in the bank. However, I do stack heavily silver and gold. Now, the one thing that I would say that I don't stack, and I can't believe I'm even saying this, really is junk silver. I've talked about this before, and I really just don't care for it. I don't like junk silver. I do not. I just can't get behind it. I understand its purpose. I think, some of the things that I preach to a lot of people within the stacking communities, don't put all of your eggs in one basket. So for me personally, I have a lot of my money in silver. I have a lot of my money in gold. I have a variety of silver coins that I have, just bullion grade stuff, collectible stuff. And I have a lot of gold, different type of gold coins. Just, again, bullion grade stuff, collectible slabbed stuff, and also fractional stuff. Not so much in the case of like an SHTF situation, but one of the things that this is making me think about is some of my own advice, which is don't put all of your eggs in one basket. And I say that there is a wide range of types of precious metals, and they all serve a different purpose. Junk silver, even though I do not agree with the mentality of an SHTF scenario, and I don't think we're ever going to be in a position where we will be trading silver quarters for loaves of bread and toilet paper. I don't think we will ever see ourselves in that position. However, my advice is always to the people watching this channel, don't put all of your eggs in one basket. And when I see things like this, it definitely makes me a little bit fearful, because more likely than not, it won't happen in the United States. However, what a lot of people are going to say in the comments down below, they will say anything is possible. Just look at what the government is doing right now, looking to introduce the CBDCs to monitor all of our spending. Inflation is just another tax that has been manufactured by the government to take your money and keep all these different things. But when you see images like this, and the fact of the matter is, we're seeing bank closures here. We saw the Credit Suisse bank kind of faltering. There were talks about that bank collapsing. You're seeing these banks in China closing down. Makes me definitely wonder. And I think I'm going to, oh my God, I'm going to start buying junk silver, I think, just to keep as an insurance policy. Have I seen the light? I don't think so. I'm not going to call it that. I'd rather have it and not need it than not have it and need it. Does that make sense? So I think I will buy some junk silver for the purpose of holding on to it and not for flipping. I still think it's a trash metal. I'm still not a fan, but I think, it doesn't lose its value per se. It kind of does trade a couple dollars over spot, but it's still silver. It's not like the cheap silver that it once was. Now it's gained popularity and it's become more expensive, but I think I'm going to buy some more junk silver. Should you start buying junk silver? That's entirely up to you. I'm curious as to your thoughts of this situation that's going on and unfolding in China. Definitely makes you wonder. Let me know in the comments down below, what metals are you stacking in case something like this, bank closures, ever occur? Let me know in the comments down below.